Stephanie Steph, what's up? I'm Molly, and I'm back with my new friend Sierra this week, and we're going to talk about the review of the LSU versus the Clemson Tigers game. Woo! My goodness, this was a good game. I mean, talk about an upset, because definitely Clemson was currently ranked at number 4, LSU is ranked at number 9. LSU won the game super strong. Sierra, how did you feel about this game?
Brian Kelly finally gets it done, wins the season opener. LSU hasn't won a season opener since Joe Burrow was the quarterback there. So, like Taylor Swift says, it's been a long time coming. And LSU answered a lot of those questions that I had before the season started in game one, which is incredible. I was really worried about LSU's defense and how they were able to limit the run game from the opposing offense. They definitely did that. They limited those Clemson explosive plays. Clemson's run game was only at 1.6 yards per carry, so that was good. I was also curious on how quarterback Garrett Nussmeier was going to mesh with his receivers, and he definitely did that. And I was also worried about LSU's run game and how they were able to do that. And they really dominated the time of possession compared to Clemson. LSU had the ball for 37 minutes and 10 seconds, and Clemson had it for 22:50. So LSU's run game very much improving, and I was just overall impressed with this LSU team.
I'm really proud of these boys. I think, when I was especially rewatching the highlights, if you would have told us that we were watching a playoff game, I would have believed it. I think they are very, very strong contenders this season. I think, like you said, LSU answered a lot of questions that we were all kind of asking. And we just haven't seen on both sides. We have not seen Clemson this good, in my opinion, since Trevor Lawrence, and we have not seen LSU this good since Joe Burrow. So I'm looking forward to seeing how the rest of their season goes.
Absolutely. And LSU, they have a fifth-year quarterback in Garrett Nussmeier. He's a son of a football coach. He's a Louisiana kid. His story is very interesting. His dad, Doug Nussmeier, was an offensive coordinator at Florida at one point and just coached in the NFL too. So Garrett moved around a lot throughout his childhood, but his heart was always in Louisiana, and that's where he returned. And when he returned for that fifth year at LSU, he said that he is determined to bring a national championship back to this program because that's what LSU wants. We saw that LSU fans have extremely high expectations, as they should. I mean, they got rid of Coach O after he won a national title right then and there. And so with Brian Kelly coming to LSU from Notre Dame, the main point was to have him win a national title. And losing the opener, even though LSU never plays cupcakes in the opener, that is something that they had to do. And before the season started, people were like, oh, Brian Kelly's on the hot seat. Brian Kelly's on the hot seat. Well, I think that seat is stone cold right now just because of how well they played and how coached and how disciplined this team was on both sides of the ball.
That's why somebody I'm watching very closely.
Yes, he was extremely efficient, completed 74% of his passes. And also, you can tell that they've really worked on that chemistry in the offseason with his receivers. Aaron Anderson was a great star in this game. He went 6 for 99 yards and was his just go-to target. There were guys like Juwan Johnson and Trey'Dez Green, just absolutely incredible that Nussmeier has so many weapons to throw to. And when it comes to Clemson, LSU's defense really limited those explosive plays, which I was extremely impressed by. Cade Klubnik, only 50% completions. And Clemson had 4.5 yards per play and 0 passing touchdowns. Like that LSU secondary, the defensive line, they worked the portal, and I would not want to go up against that LSU defense because they're pretty scary.
Yeah, I want to go back to Cade Klubnik too. Not that we cover the ACC teams, but I do think he crashed under pressure for sure. I don't think he handled pressure well, and it's week 1. Let's brush it off. Let's like get our lives back together. We're going into week 2. We're just moving on from what happened previously, and so I do think ultimately he just totally cracked under pressure, and you just can't have that when you're going up against teams, especially when you're in the top 10. But when you're going up against teams like LSU. And so I'm excited to see the rest of this season for Clemson as well, because I do think they have decent chemistry, but can they keep it and not be cracked under pressure on the field in these high stress moments. But LSU, man, like they just it was breezy for them in a way. Like they were not pressured at all almost. And so rewatching and rewatching, I was just like, these guys make it look effortless in a way. And that's kind of scary as a Texas fan. I'm like, wait, this might be a lot more tough than I thought it was going to be. And I'm looking at a lot of these week one teams, even Alabama, Texas, Ohio State, like they're all kind of still getting their chemistry and rhythm going on the field. LSU already has it. And so that is a scary thing when you're factoring in playing those big teams.
This was a game that Clemson absolutely needed to win just because their schedule is not as strong as LSU's. If LSU were to have lost this game, yeah, you would have heard the people say Brian Kelly needs to be fired because he lost another season opener. But you're playing a college football playoff team that won the ACC last year. Like, be for real, guys. Brian Kelly's not getting fired if he would have lost this game. But with Clemson, I argue that they needed this win more than LSU because LSU has such a tough schedule, and I believe they're talented enough to win a lot of those games. And that could have made up for that just because of how tough their schedule is. Clemson doesn't have that toughest schedule. They play Troy next week, and then they play Georgia Tech, who's okay, Syracuse, UNC. We'll see how that goes with Belichick and his 24-year-old girlfriend also coaching the team, it seems like. But with the ACC, we saw how Florida State played, and that might be more of a contender also for the ACC title. But with Clemson, they just don't have as challenging of a schedule. So if they make it to the ACC championship and if they lose, they don't have that fallback game like LSU to make their case for the college football playoff. Rather, LSU, if they they won this game, and this gives them that insurance they need to make their case for the college football playoff. Now, honestly, by the way LSU played, it would not shock me if they won the SEC or made it to the SEC championship game. But if they made it to the SEC championship, or heck, even if they were out of the SEC championship game like Tennessee was, because of this win over Clemson, I think that LSU definitely has a very, very high chance of making it to the college football playoff, even if they don't make it to the SEC championship game.
Yeah, Emma and I were actually we were just filming the Texas review game, and she said something that I totally agree with. I think we're looking at a schedule this year. When we did all of these preseason reviews and rankings, we all kind of like gave them all maybe a 2-game loss, 1 or 2 games. I think we're looking at a schedule where a lot of these teams are going to have a 3-game loss. And that sucks. But I don't know about LSU. Like, yeah, they're going up against really big teams. And do I hope that Texas wins when they play them? Yes. But I could see LSU only having a 1 or 2-game loss this year. I don't see them having 3. So this is a tough one for me, but just seeing how good they looked, I'm scared, guys.
They got this out of conference tough game out the way because now they play Louisiana Tech, and their other out of conference game is Southeastern Louisiana. So they're staying in state, staying at home. Nothing really too crazy until they get back into the SEC schedule, which is going to be an absolute gauntlet. They're going on the road at like Ole Miss and at Alabama and at Oklahoma. Again, with Alabama losing, we don't know what's the deal there. But it's just their schedule sets them up really nicely, but it's still challenging. Anyone in the SEC can win on any given day.
We'll have to see, but I mean, you guys let us know what you think in the comments. I'm curious.
To add to your point, Molly, on how tough the SEC is, this conference just seems to cannibalize each other every single year. Ole Miss head coach Lane Kiffin even recently said when he was trying to make his case for Ole Miss making it to the college football playoff, even though they lost some crucial games like to Florida and Kentucky, it's like, well, we play the toughest schedule. We play in the toughest conference. So we should get a little bit more grace compared to teams in other conferences who get in the college football playoff, like SMU last year. Mm-hmm. And it's just, who knows what the committee's going to pick this year. It's going to be interesting, but I think LSU has definitely made their case.
Much agreed. Much agreed. I don't know. I'm just, like I said, I'm scared as a Texas fan to play somebody like that. They look good. They look strong. They have seniority. They're veterans, man. They're just like, we've been doing this, guys. Don't you worry about it. And maybe it is their time to shine. I mean, it's been so long since they've had such a good team, and we'll just yikes. We're just gonna have to see how it goes.
Will LSU make it to the national title game? Who knows? But let us know in the comments your thoughts on this LSU Clemson game or the SEC in general, because it's a crazy league that likes to beat each other up. So let us know in the comments, and we'll see you next time.